Hey, welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today I'm thrilled to have with us Gerren Sprauve of Clean Slate Janitorial Services. Gerren, how are you today?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thanks.
As I do with everyone, if you could, let's start with telling me a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, Gerren Sprauve out of Orlando, Florida. We started a business back in 2006. We are a janitorial solutions company. Uh, we have we have been in business since then, weathered a few storms, and we're still thriving, still doing well. The business was built on creating an environment where people within the janitorial industry, they can feel welcome, they can feel honored, loved, taken care of. It was all birthed out of that. I specialize in having conversations with my team members and helping them to see work differently than they do. So I'm always telling them it's not about cleaning. It's really not about cleaning. And that's been my experience starting the company. So I like to share it with them and give them the confidence that they need to go on and do great things.
So coming up, you're not that far off from 20 years. So
Yeah.
um, you couldn't have been doing much before that. You seem like a pretty young guy. What kind of led to the start of the business?
Yeah, great question. So when I'd gotten out of college and I chose to move to Orlando from Maryland, the DC area, I I like many people who have that burning desire to be an entrepreneur. I was feeling very miserable in my job, and I was becoming uh, a not so impressive employee. But I knew that I wanted to do something differently. I just wasn't quite sure of what it was. But in the meantime, I was grinding it out, doing my job as best as I could. But my wife and I, we were tired of just waking up every morning with tears-soaked pillows. And she would always look at me and wonder, like, is this what life is about? Like, this is what adulting is? And I couldn't give her an answer to this whole thing, man. But I was very focused on figuring something out. And of course, I dibble and dabble with a lot of different other things. In the meantime, a lot of service-oriented business. I used to have a concrete curbing business. Bought one. I was doing that for a while. But if you live in Florida, the Florida heat is serious. So I found myself one night when I was taking my wife out for dinner. She was on my arm. I saw this gentleman at a restaurant. He was moving around the stuff and setting up the table for my wife and I, and he began to walk away. And I wanted to tell him thank you. So as he walked away, I kind of reached out to him and I said, "Excuse me, sir, thank you." He turned around, he looked at me and he wondered, like why are you telling me thank you? And I said, "Guy, yo, you didn't just clean the table, you prepared a place for my wife and I to have dinner. Had you not done that, we wouldn't sit here. So thank you." And the guy smiled at me and he was like, "I did all of that." And I was like, "Yeah, you did." He took off to another table and he started setting it up and looking at people in their eyes. And he had a smile on his face. And I got chills. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Yo, I want to do that again." So I mustered up enough courage and I shared with my wife that I wanted to quit my job and begin to become a janitor. And we talked about that, of course, having a mortgage, newlywed, and all that jazz. That wasn't really an easy conversation, but I told her, I said, I will do anything legally to provide for us if it doesn't work out. Just give me a chance to really just go in and go hard at this. And she said she trusted me and gave me the blessings. And I stepped out in faith and started. Now I didn't want to buy a franchise. I didn't want to just buy a business. I really wanted to understand what that individual was going through. Now I realized like I'm an experiential learner. And in order for me to understand it, I felt like I had to be him. So by becoming a janitor, going, cleaning the toilets, the whole nine, I got to understand what it felt like to be in someone's shoes in a position like that where people sometimes look down on you and gain confidence through the whole experience. And from there, I've been able to take that information that I've learned and share it with everyone that I come in contact with. And it's not just in the cleaning world. I mean, I share it with other business owners, other people in other industries. I do talks and so forth, and we could talk about that. But it's all about looking at your line of work through a different filter one that allows you to see like the purpose behind it all and the like what you really are creating. And it's not just the work. It's not just cleaning. It's much more than that.
So the thought process of investing in people, not just hiring them and saying go do a job,
Right.
but emotionally investing in them, um, comes with a return, right? Not just for your business, but for them personally. Is
Totally.
that kind of where
Totally.
you're thinking?
You got it, Matt. You got it. Yep.
I love it. I love it. More bosses should be like that. More business owners should be like that, Karen.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
So the business itself, talk
Mhm.
to us about the focus of it. Who's your typical client?
So our typical client are first off are people who love to say thank you. As you heard, that was the genesis of starting the company. So what I do is we seek out clients who love to say thank you, and we found that they come in a variety of people. Um, Granted, you might go into a warehouse or you may go into a very small business. They're doing their thing, right? And there are people within that business who love to say thank you. So that's the first key thing. We look for people who are genuinely kind and interested in people and not just come do a job and then be gone, right? So that's one. Secondly, we look for people who care for their image, right? We've met some individuals who say, "Hey, can you come in and just kind of clean up a little bit, like come every other week?" And sometimes I ask them, like, why are you really asking us to come here? Are you just bringing us in so you can tell your employees, "Hey, we have a cleaning company," or are you really interested in the care and the health of your space? And do you want to create an environment where people feel welcome when they come in the doors? So we look for people who are interested in keeping their image up, and they want to create a welcome experience for not only their clients but also for their employees, right? Because their employees are our clients also, right? They have to create a stickiness and attractiveness that makes people want to come to this place again and again and again. So we help clients who are focused on that. Um, and we specialize, like I mentioned, in commercial offices, much more than residential homes or things of that nature. In the beginning, we did quite a bit of everything, but we felt that the commercial space is where we feel most comfortable and where we do our best work.
All right. So all of that sounds wonderful, right? And sometimes in business, you run into clients or potential clients that may not fit
Mhm.
what you're looking for. Do you
Yeah,
feel that when you're in there in the sales process, whether that's still you or someone else, where it's like, I'm not sure I'm
yeah,
getting the kind of kindness out of this
yeah,
person because it may not filter down to my team. So
yeah.
would you turn down some of those jobs?
Yeah, and we have. And again, like I mentioned earlier, right? It's not just about cleaning. So when I find myself in those situations, and sometimes I'm the one doing it, sometimes it's one of our salespeople who are out there doing it, and then they may call and inquire, "Hey, how would you handle this? Like, do you think this is a good fit for us?" My first question is to them in that space is, what are you learning? What are you learning from this interaction, right? What is it within you that makes you feel as though this person isn't the right fit? Could it be like they're just having a bad day, or could it be like they just didn't like how you look, or it can be just a random array of things. And the question is, like, talk to me about how you're feeling about this, and what are you learning through this process? Because again, if it's not just about cleaning got you in the door to have that dialogue. What are you supposed to learn through this interaction? I'm always teaching. Okay. So once we go through that whole process and we identify, this person probably isn't kind. They just want a transactional relationship. That just doesn't work well for us. I mean, I know you can make some good money in transactional relationships, but for us at our core, we like to we like when our team members are seen, like when they do work that people appreciate, right? Because again, it's a growing process. We don't want them to just feel as though they're just going in and doing a job, but we want them to feel good when they leave that job and say, like, I did this for you, type of a deal. So in those situations, yeah, we find ourselves letting some of those prospects or some of those clients go.
It sounds like you've worked hard at culture, right? For your team, not just, they're not just cleaning, as you said. And so, um, what has that led to just in terms of kind of loyalty, right, from your team?
Yeah,
I mean, being a boss and a business owner is all about finding people that will buy in to what
yeah,
you're trying to sell, for lack of a better term. But
Yeah.
Create is probably a better word. Do you see a high amount of loyalty from your team?
Yeah, so great question, right? One thing I've realized is in business, especially in our business, in the service-oriented business, people come and go. People come and go. We've had employees or team members, I love to call them, who have come on board because they wanted exercise. It could have been someone older and they said, listen, I just want to get out the house. I want to exercise. I want to move. And they move. Some people who said, I enjoy cleaning. And I might, dig a little bit deeper. What is it about cleaning that you really enjoy? Like, what is it? Is it nostalgic? Does it bring you back to something when you were a kid? We try to find those connection points so that we can talk to people about the things that are meaningful to them when they're here, right? And then there's some people who would, hey, I'm just trying to send my kids through school, or I just want to get through school, wanting to buy a house. It's so many different things. And one of the things that we do is we identify the reason why they're here right away. Some people might come on board in the hiring process, and I might ask them, like, so why are you really working? Well, I want to make a job. I want money. Let's put that aside. Like, why are you really wanting to work here? And as we peel back those layers, we identify something that's core, that's beautiful, or something that's really just transactional. Once we agree, okay, this is the reason why you're here, people can come and go, and it might be disappointing, but we understood at the onset why they were here. So as long as we feel as though we're fulfilling our duties and they're doing the same while we're working together, it's all good. For someone like me, just being very transparent with you and your audience on this, I'm someone who struggled with rejection from a child. And as I have built a business and people come and go, you can sometimes feel like you're being rejected, even while you have poured out yourself to them and done your very best to make sure that they were comfortable. And with every person who decides to go, or someone who just quits on us for their reasons, it's a shot to my gut. And I've been able to grow as an entrepreneur, as a person through this whole process, where I can receive people with grace, let them go with grace, and continue on my purpose, right? So it's been a journey, man. Being an entrepreneur, being a businessman is a journey, and that's one of the things that I hope people recognize when they're going into this on this journey. Let's put it that way.
That's a great way to call it, and that's what it is. It is a journey. And when we get to the end here, we'll wrap up with a little bit more about Clean Slate. But I'm curious to hear a little bit about some of your other ventures and endeavors that you've got going on.
Yeah. So thanks for asking. So one of the things that I am a speaker, and I'm also an author, and that's those things kind of spawn off of Clean Slate. Many years ago, I had a business coach back in 2012 through 2016. I had a specific guy that I'd like to highlight. His name was Eric Harmon, gentleman out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And I found him through I forgot, some sales program that I bought into or what have you. And it was one of the best investments that I made. The first question that he asked me when we got on the line was, he says, how much money do you want to make? And I was like, I don't know. I hadn't thought about money. Like, no, like I want to be a better person. And he lit up. This guy was like, you have won the lottery. Well, that's weird to say. He's like, you'll see. And what I found out through our 4 years together was that he was a gentleman who had helped so many people through the years, Matt, become millionaires, multimillionaires. He was tired of it. He was tired of having those transactional relationships where people just came on board and they were like, I just want to make money. And it seemed as though it had stripped him from the human element of connection. And he wanted to pour into someone in a different way. So when I came and I shared that I just wanted to be a better human being, he lit up because he wanted to pour into being a human being also. And he had some challenges that he was working through. And strangely enough, I was able to coach him through some of those things, So it's just beautiful how the world works, man, and how things work. But he told me very early on, he says, Gerren, you should write down everything that you're doing. Write it down. One day you might write a book. I wasn't interested, but I was interested in doing what he said. So I wrote things down. And we lost him in 2016 to cancer unexpectedly, like just abruptly. And several years later, um, a moment occurred when I was flying, when I was traveling, and it hit me. Maybe it's time to write that book. So I pulled back out all my stuff and got to it. So that was one of the things that I'm doing outside of just the cleaning.
And the name of that book?
It's called Fast Track Your Calling. Fast Track Your Calling: How to Fuel Your Drive with Every Assignment.
I'm sorry for your loss. That it's amazing how paths cross at the right time, and
Yeah,
it sounds like he needed you as much as you needed him, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
All right, so you're approaching in not the too distant future, 20 years
Mhm.
for Clean Slate Janitorial Services. What do the next couple of years look like as you get to that milestone?
Yeah, great question again. So I've been doing some consulting work, and in addition to the speaking and being an author, I'm working on another book here as we speak also. And for Clean Slate, it has been it has been a journey there. I love the doors that it has opened for me, the rooms that it has invited me in. As a result of it, I mean, I recall very early on when I would go to certain networking meetings and people were, introducing themselves and giving themselves all these nice titles and so forth. And I hadn't yet, um, uh, I hadn't yet accepted the fact that I was the CEO, the president, the founder of my company. I was just a commercial cleaner, and I was using the same kind of jargon that someone else in this industry would use if they started off as a janitor. And then something happened where it hit me like, no, like, dude, you started a company, like a company. Like, speak up about yourself. And sometimes I would go out on these dates with my wife or to some of her events, and people would introduce me and or introduce themselves, and then they would ask me, and I was like, I just clean toilets. And my wife would nudge me and said, stop it. Tell them that you own your business. But again, I wanted to see how people would interact with me as a person versus based on my title. But so as we move on, I mean, I'm still creating opportunities for more people. When we pick up new clients, it's an opportunity for someone who's looking for a job to come on board, to learn, to get coached a little bit. Because I want people to think highly of themselves, man. Not just, you know, head bowed because they're in this industry. Any industry. When I'm driving on the road and I see someone digging a hole or someone cleaning out, a ditch, whatever. I see stories. I see a human being. I see potential. It's like, yo, what can we do to like tap into that so that they can blossom? Because I want to be around people who have like blossomed, doing really cool things. So that's how we use Clean Slate as a tool.
As you're talking about it and explaining it, I can't help but look at your logo and think the name Clean Slate
Yeah.
kind of speaks to that, right? Like if you've had multiple janitorial type jobs your entire life, buckle up because this is new and I'm going to
Yeah.
treat you different and you're going to feel different. Did that kind of have something to do with it?
Yeah, yeah. I to this day, man, I have been trying to identify what prompted me to come up with the name Clean Slate, and I truly cannot remember. But it was fitting, or it is fitting, for what you just shared, for the work that I've been doing, and for me personally. As human beings, Matt, like yes, we run businesses, yes, we do all these awesome things, these cool things, yes, we make money, and sometimes we don't, right? But we are still human beings who are dealing with different things on the inside. And I've been in rooms with people who make a lot of money. And when I ask them the question of like the simple question of, hey, how you doing? Gerren, things are going well. Da, 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 da. And I pause and I'm like, how are you doing? You just see everybody like, okay, all right, he got behind that layer. And then they start to speak their truth, like, hey, here's what I'm really dealing with. Here's how I'm really feeling about what I'm dealing with. And you start getting to the nuts and bolts of what makes people tick. And that's what I'm most interested in. That's the part that I connect with. That's the part that I see many people want to be connected to. They just haven't found a safe space to be there. So I help people get there. For me personally, I was dealing with some different things over my years, and I have gotten a clean slate to live life differently through my years. So it's fitting for us all, man. It's fitting for us all.
All right. So as we wrap up, there's people out there either just starting their business and now we're like, what have I done? I'm struggling. How do I continue to move forward? I need momentum and the right
Yeah,
energy. What's some advice you would give to some people in that boat?
yeah, totally, totally, totally. Listen, okay. So pretty excited about this, right? Because this is part of what I'm going to be sharing in this upcoming book. It has made a big difference for me. Okay. Like you said, Matt, there are people out there who have either started already and they are, backs are against the wall and they're like, what in the world was I thinking? Or some people who are like, I'm ready to do this. And they think like they have all the energy in the world to do it, the muscle, right? The physical. Here's the one thing that I'll tell you. I want you to ask yourself this one question. Who do you want to become? I'll let you digest that for a second. Who do you want to become? When you ask yourself that question and you really lay it out, you'll realize that whoever that person is that you want to become, I'm telling you, you're going to go on a journey. And you may not recognize yourself today from when you started. If you can attach yourself and like anchor yourself to that person that you want to become, everything that happens along the way, you'll be able to withstand. If it's just about the money, you're gonna hit some rocky roads and you might find yourself struggling a lot. You want to go on this journey with purpose, not just for the money. The money will come, it'll come, right? And God forbid you make a lot of money, not God forbid, like if you make a lot of money and you happen to die tomorrow, does it really, really matter? But the person that you become on this journey, and life will give you all the opportunities in the world, is going to be like, it's going to be amazing, not just for you, but for the people who are going to come in contact with you. And I think that's what life is about. When you were born, you didn't have money. You were beautiful to your family. Everybody loved you. Like there was something else about you that mattered more. As you're older, it's really not about the money. There's something about you that matters more. And I encourage you to answer that question. Who do you want to become? And then anchor yourself to that answer. And then choose your character. Go for it.
I can't say anything other than great stuff. And
Yeah,
I
man.
look forward to that second book after I get done reading the first one.
Yeah.
Gerren Sprauve with Clean Slate Janitorial Services. Thank you so much for your time and your
Cool, man.
insight today. It was a pleasure to meet you, and we appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.